Alright, YouTube, so we're back, of course, talking about some Final Fantasy 16. It's been a few weeks since we discussed this game, and they finally dropped the website for Final Fantasy 16, which, I'll be honest, I didn't know if it was out or not already. I feel like I was kind of slacking, being a little bit lazy when it came to 16, but it turns out they just now dropped it yesterday. The website tells us about a couple of the characters and the world when it comes to Final Fantasy 16. We get to learn about a handful of the different regions or realms or countries, whatever it might be called. So sort of the elephant in the room, something I want to talk about here at the beginning, is we finally learned the main character's name, and it's Clive. I don't know, man, just kind of a weird name. I don't necessarily hate it. It's just definitely not what I was expecting. I thought Joshua was weird, too, for that little kid we see in the trailer. His name is Joshua. Just kind of a weird name as well. Like, this is Final Fantasy. It's a fantasy world. You can literally just make up fucking words to be names, and they choose Joshua and Clive. Anyways, let's get into it. Clive Rossfield, the firstborn son of the Archduke of Rosaria, though all expected him to inherit the Phoenix's flame and awaken as its dominant, destiny instead chose his younger brother Joshua to bear this burden. In search of a role of his own, Clive dedicated himself to mastering the blade. His practice pays off when, at just 15 years of age, he wins the ducal tournament and is dubbed the first Shield of Rosaria, tasked to guard the Phoenix and blessed with the ability to wield a part of his fire. Alas, Clive's promising career is to end in tragedy at the hands of a mysterious dark icon, which are the summons, Ifrit, setting him on a dangerous road to revenge. And obviously we've seen part of this Ifrit event when it came to the initial trailer we got for the game, and apparently this is going to be a very defining moment for Clive, our main character, and also Joshua. We learned a little bit more about it with Joshua's description. And initially I thought that maybe Joshua was going to die, and that would be like the tragic moment, but Joshua's description implies that he doesn't die from this. And I'm wondering if this isn't where the time skip's going to happen, because we know there's an older version of Clive with the initial trailer. Initially, I thought we were going to have two different protagonists, but people were saying that it was just an older version of Clive. So I'm wondering if we're not going to have this tragic event with Ifrit, and maybe time will skip forward to when they're older and jaded and want revenge and all that other stuff. Just a guess. Joshua Rossfield, so yeah, they're brothers. The second son of the Archduke of Rosaria and Clive's younger brother by 5 years. Joshua awoke as the dominant of the Phoenix soon after his birth. Despite his noble upbringing, Joshua treats all of his father's subjects with warmth and affection, none more so than Clive, whom he deeply admires. Joshua often laments that it was he, the frail and bookish younger son, who was granted command of the Firebird's flames and not a stronger, braver brother. While Clive will gladly throw himself into any danger, Joshua quells at the sight of a carrot on his dinner plate. But carrots become the least of his concerns when he, too, is swept up in the tragic events that changed Clive's life forever. So yeah, they're both brothers, which is pretty interesting. It's actually kind of a big reveal just because we didn't know that, and we don't often have that, I think, with like a main group or party when it comes to Final Fantasy. Generally, it's all a bunch of random characters brought together, but these two are actually brothers. But I found the last line kind of interesting because they specified that Joshua gets dragged into the events that changed Clive's life forever, like implying that whatever takes place with the Ifrit or whatever is specific to Clive almost. Jill Warrick, born in the fallen Northern Territories, Jill was taken from her homeland at a tender age to become a ward of Rosaria, securing peace between the two warring nations. The Archduke insisted that she be raised alongside his sons, and now, at 12 years of age, she is as much part of the Rossfield household as Clive and Joshua. Ever kind, gracious, and unassuming, Jill has become a trusted confidant to the brothers. Now, I didn't really recognize Jill off the top of my head, so I went back and watched the trailer. That's her right there with the brothers, obviously. They specify that she's a confidant for them, which is somebody that you can confide in, somebody you can share a secret with, so I'm assuming at some point in the story, they're going to have some sort of plan, scheme, something secretive or private that they're going to tell her. Now on to the world of the game. For now, I'm going to call it Valisthea. Don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Valisthea, a land blessed in the light of the Mother Crystals. The land of Valisthea is studded with Mother Crystals, glittering mountains of crystal that tower over the realms around them, blessing them with Aether. For generations, people have flocked to these beacons to take advantage of their blessing, using the Aether to conjure magics that let them live lives of comfort and plenty. Great powers have grown up around each Mother Crystal, and an uneasy peace has long reigned between them. Yet now the peace falters as the spread of the blight threatens to destroy their dominions. There's a really cool piece of artwork on the website that leads to the world section that appears to show Mother Crystal. There's an entire city built around this thing. It obviously looks like a crystal, so I'm going to assume that's our first look at what a Mother Crystal is, or looks like. But apparently these Mother Crystals bestow Aether upon people and allows them to live lives of comfort and plenty. And I hate to use this comparison since we talk about the game all the time, but it just kind of reminded me of Final Fantasy VII and Mako. Like, the ancients used to use, the Mako from the planet from the live stream to use magic and live lives comfortably. And that's also what they do in the modern era with Shinra. Shinra's sucking the planet dry of Mako to use it to fuel things to make everybody's lives comfortable. It just kind of reminded me of that. Icons and their dominance. The Icons are the most powerful and deadly creatures in Valisthea. Each resides within a dominant, a single man or woman who is blessed with the ability to call upon their dread power. In some nations, these dominants are treated as royalty in admiration of their strength, In others, they are bound in fear of it and forced to serve as weapons of war. Those who are born as dominants cannot escape their fate, however cruel it may be. So this is pretty much what we all thought, and we were all correct, because we all thought from the trailer it seemed like people could control the summons, like one person could control one summon. We knew that Joshua controlled Phoenix, and that seems to be the case. And as you'd expect with a Final Fantasy game, there are good dominants and bad dominants. Good summons, bad summons. Now onto the realms of Valisthea, which, if you look in the background, obviously they give us what appears to be the world map of the game. Hopefully it's actually a world that we can explore. With this being a next-gen exclusive game, right, it's on PS5 and it was presumably at some point Series X, this better be going back to the days of an actual world map that we can traverse and travel and explore. Hopefully. First up, we have the Grand Duchy of Rosaria, which is obviously where our heroes are from. We see the Phoenix on the flag. Long ago, a group of small independent provinces in western Valisthea found strength in unity and formed the Grand Duchy of Rosaria. After years of relative prosperity, the duchy now finds itself threatened by the spread of the Blight. A threat that, left unchecked, would doubtless usher the realm to ruin. Rosaria draws aether from Drake's Breath, a mother crystal situated on a volcanic island off the coast. The dominant of the Phoenix, Icon of Fire, is enthroned as Archduke when they come of age. Just looking at this world map really quickly, I'd assume that put Rosaria maybe over here, since we see what looks to be like maybe a volcano, looks like fire over here on an island. They're supposed to have their mother crystal over off on an island. The Holy Empire of Sanbreque, hell of a name. Sanbreque is the largest theocratic force in Valisthea. The Empire's holy capital, Oriflamme, is built around Drake's head, the mother crystal that blesses the surrounding provinces with abundant aether. The people happily take advantage of this, living in comfort and security under the watchful gaze of the Holy Emperor, whom they worship as the living incarnation of the one true deity. The dominant of, and they blank it out for some reason, serves as the Empire's champion, taken to the field in times of war to rout its enemies. They talk about the holy capital being built around the mother crystal, which I believe would be this right here, right? This town is built around what appears to be a mother crystal. And if that giant crystal town that we just looked at is Oriflamme, that place it right here in the middle with the obvious gigantic goddamn blue crystal. Now the realm's banners do give us an idea of their icons, their summons. They blank out in the description of this, so I'm not sure who it is. It looks feminine right here, so the first thing that came to my mind was Shiva, but they wouldn't blank out Shiva because we've seen Shiva and Titan in the trailer, and they don't blank out Titan in a later description, so this might just be a new summon we haven't seen yet. They do refer to it as the Holy Empire of Sanbreque. They do refer to it as the Holy Capital, so maybe it is a holy summon. The Kingdom of Wallode, I guess? I don't know. Wallode claims the entirety of Ash, the eastern half of Valisthea, as its dominion. The kingdom's control of the continent has often been tested by the orcs and other beastmen who make their home there, but the current ruler of the realm, dominant of blank, has succeeded in quelling the rebellion. Using the power of the kingdom's mother crystal, Drake's Spine, this new kingdom has built up a mighty army with which he now seeks to test the borders of the neighbors. So they specify that the Kingdom of Wallode controls the entire eastern half of Valisthea, so I'd assume that'd be this entire continent right here, which means this would be them and their mother crystal, which is kind of like a darker color, kind of evil looking. If we take a look at their banner, in terms of a summon, the first thing that comes to mind for me would obviously be Ixion from Final Fantasy X. That's really the only horse summon that I'm even aware of, and other than maybe Odin riding a horse. So it could certainly be Odin as well, but usually Odin's horse has 6 legs, and more specifically 4 front legs, and from this banner we don't see 4 front legs. So I think Ixion makes a lot more sense, plus that would give us our lightning summon for the game. We've seen fire, ice, and earth, we haven't seen lightning yet. The Damekian Republic is made up of 5 states, from which the members of its ruling parliament are drawn. Its mother crystal, Drake's Fang, is half hidden in the heart of a mountain range. The Republic's control over it and its aether securing the obedience of a large part of southern Valisthea. The dominant of Titan, Icon of Earth, is installed as a special advisor to the parliament and has a significant say in its decision-making. They specify that they're in the southern part of Valisthea and within a mountain range, so I think that obviously put them right about here. The Iron Kingdom, a small group of islands off the coast of Storm, the western half of Valisthea's twin realms. Here the crystalline orthodox and extreme faith that worships crystals reigns supreme. The Iron Kingdom controls Drake's Breath, the mother crystal that sits at the heart of one of their islands. Long a source of contention with neighboring Rosaria, isolated and aloof from the mainland nations, the Ironblood speaks their own language. Orthodox doctrine judges dominants to be unholy abominations, and any unlucky enough to be born on the islands are executed. It says they're off the western coast of Storm on some islands, so I'm guessing this area is kind of called Storm or something like that. And it says they share the same mother crystal as Rosaria, Drake's Breath, but they're on these islands somewhere, I guess. Or maybe all these islands. If we take a really quick look at their banner, they obviously have nothing that resembles a summon because they are anti-dominant. Anybody born on the island that is a dominant that can control an icon is executed. And we know because of the trailer we got for the game that at some point, whenever Clive is older, he joins up with them because at the beginning of the trailer, we hear that they are hunting Shiva's dominant. That is the target.
You all know the target. Shiva's dominant. And only the dominant.
We also know because of what's said right after this that Shiva's dominant is a girl, so possibly Jill, just because they revealed that character to us with all of this. So maybe she becomes Shiva's dominant or is Shiva's dominant. And obviously could also just be some other random girl character that we haven't seen yet.
How do we even know the girl will be among us?
Our kind do not question orders.
And lastly, we have the Crystalline Dominion. The Crystalline Dominion sits at the heart of Valisthea, built around the tallest of all the Mother Crystals. Well, I guess that's what that town is. Drake's Tail. Many bloody battles were fought for control of this small plot of land due to its strategic importance, till the warring realms finally agreed to an armistice. As part of the peace treaty, the islands around Drake's Tail become an autonomous dominion led by a council of representatives from the surrounding nations. Each realm enjoined equal claim to the Mother Crystal's blessings. No dominant makes their home there. So they specified the Crystalline Dominion is right in the middle, right here. So I'm assuming that's what this is, which would probably put the Holy Empire of Sambrek up here at the north. This is kind of the only location on the map that's kind of unaccounted for right now, is this one. We also got on the website a brief message from the developers, Yoshida and Sakai, but sadly it's the same message we've already had where they both kind of talk about working on 14 and 16 at the same time. We read that months ago. So sadly they couldn't be bothered to put out a new quote from the developers. It's kind of weird to just use the same one we've already seen in interviews and things elsewhere. One last thing we can derive from the trailer based on the information that we have now is that whoever is the dominant of Shiva will fight the Dalmekian Republic at some point because they control Titan, and obviously within the trailer we see Shiva and Titan fighting. Actually, one last thing, this group of people talking right here could potentially be the Crystalline Dominion. They seem to be having a very important conversation, talking about the different realms, and obviously the Crystalline Dominion has representatives from all the different realms. And I think that'll pretty much wrap it up, my dudes. We could probably dig through the trailer a little bit more with the information that we have now, but I think that's pretty good. This is already a 12-minute video. This ended up being so much longer than I thought it would be, but, I like to break shit down in depth, man. Sometimes it makes it a long video. So I think we're just going to kind of wrap it up like we usually do when it comes to the longer videos. Let me know if I missed anything with all this information, and if there's any other information out there that I haven't really talked about yet. As always, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We'll stay updated with more Final Fantasy 16 content. Turn on my notifications. Follow me on Twitter at @dashingdavid. I'm a Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Low Gain or leave it like Obang.